Welcome to the latest edition of Oxwide, our Trust News Roundup. For our first piece, we visited Bimpe and Paul from our pharmacy service to find out how they're helping our mental health patients out in the community. So would you recommend pharmacy as a career?
Yeah, there's a lot of developments going on in pharmacy, and there have been for several years. And, you know, as we build our team, we're developing the services that we provide, most notably recently providing more services to our community mental health teams. And so we built up a small team now embedded in each of our community mental health teams to help clinicians and patients with problems that they have with their medicines.
Can you tell us what the pharmacy service to community mental health teams is? What does it do?
Yeah, we're a service that works within the community mental health teams with other members of the team to help look after the patients who are in the community, that's outpatients. We discuss their medication, we support them, we answer questions about side effects, we help them choose the best medication options for them. We help them look at all the different aspects of their treatment to help them make the best decisions and to help them stay well and out of hospital.
And what about challenges with regard to patients? So some of the difficulties with, is it managing their medication or making sure it's taken timely? Or?
Yeah, unfortunately many of them often have the misconception that they are better, they're well, so they don't need medication, and then they're forever wanting to stop, and we often have to sit and try and persuade them to see that they're well because of the medication, and that it's better to stay well on medication rather than risk a relapse, you know. So that is most of our discussions are around that, really.
What kind of person would you say you need to be to do your job?
Yeah, I think we just have to be somebody who genuinely has that interest in helping patients to get better, to stay well, and to have a clearer understanding of their illness and the role of medication alongside other non-pharmacological strategies.
So what made you want to become a pharmacist, Bimpe?
I love the sciences and I didn't really want to become a doctor, so the next best thing was a pharmacist.
Did Oxleas support you in your training to become a mental health specialist?
Yes, Oxleas provided full training, sponsored full training for my career development to become a mental health pharmacist and then to become a highly skilled, highly specialist mental health pharmacist. Yeah, it was all through Oxleas. And I also had a lot of in-house, you know, mentoring by my senior colleagues.
So what do you see the future looking like for community pharmacy services?
Obviously we want to build our team up so we can help more patients with problems they might have with medicines. We want to obviously optimise the treatments people are on, make sure they're happy with those treatments, minimise any side effects and help to manage those side effects. And by doing so, we help to keep people well in the community for longer, hopefully avoiding any hospital stays.
So what would you say are the best and most enjoyable parts of your job?
I love working with people, with professional colleagues and with the clinical staff. So we really, with this role, I'm part embedded in the mental health team out there, and I sit with them a lot. We discuss emails, phone calls, and also I meet with patients a lot, and it's quite rewarding when you sit with them and it's almost like a contest. You just try and eventually persuade them to see things, you know, in a better light so that hopefully they'll stay better for longer and maybe improve their way of managing their mental health and stay well and out of hospital. really. So it's good. I love it.
Thanks to Paul and Bimpe and all the pharmacy team for taking time out of their busy day. Now, recently we've been giving autism a lot of attention as part of the acceptance and awareness events. SLP's David Pryor recently dropped by to speak about autism and some exciting projects coming up. So can you tell us what your role is in the SLP?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing a Darcy Fellowship in Clinical Leadership with the SLP, and I'm looking at the pathway for autistic patients in forensic services.
And first of all, can you tell us exactly what a Darcy Fellow is? Because lots of people have been asking.
Yeah, So it's a PG cert, a postgraduate certificate that's awarded by London South Bank University. There's 16 of us on this leadership course, and we're being taught kind of the tools to kind of develop our leadership skills, and then we take them to our host organisation to kind of use those skills and put them into practice. So for me, that's the South London Partnership.
Can you tell us about your latest project?
Yeah, sure. So during the scoping phase of my project, I identified that there was quite a variety of staff perceptions of autism. And I'm with service users, with autistic service users, we're devising a questionnaire to then put to staff to get a better understanding of their knowledge and awareness of autism.
And have you done something similar with service users themselves? So asked them what their experience on the flip side is?
Yes. So that's something that I'm collecting at the moment, is to get a better understanding of patients' experience and service users' experiences of autism and their experiences in secure units.
And can you give us a sort of a snapshot or a flavour of some of that feedback that they've given?
So some kind of will acknowledge that the environment itself can be quite difficult with like noise and lighting. Some will highlight how helpful particular members of staff have been, like speech and language therapists and occupational therapists have a great understanding generally of autism and get a lot of support from those healthcare professionals.
So why do you think it's so difficult to identify if someone has autism?
I think one of the reasons can be that it's this general lack of awareness and people don't really quite know what to look out for. Other times it can be that the person might have a lot of other things going on in their lives and it makes it difficult to untangle what could be autism and what could be something else. As part of an autism assessment, we're very keen to get a full history of a patient, so from when they were a young age, to see if this was something that was present in their life from a young age, because that's typically how autism presents. It's a lifelong condition. And that can be hard to find. It can be hard to get that collateral history, or history from like a relative or carer from when they were a young age.
So what are the indications that someone may have autism?
So typically autistic people can, I suppose, have challenges in communication and social interactions, where they might just find it more difficult than others, I suppose, to appreciate what is maybe going on in the mind of the other or how to interact with people. And they tend to have, sometimes they can tend to have specialist interests, and they can spend a lot of time on those particular interests.
If people want to get involved or find out more from you about the projects and what's happening, what do they do?
Absolutely, I'd love to hear from anyone really. If you've any kind of interest in autism or background or experience, or even you just want to find out more about my projects, you can contact me by email on the address shown.
Thanks very much for coming in to see us today, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Lisa.
And don't forget to get in touch with David if you'd like to find out more. For our final film, Sally Bryden met with Jo Stimpson. She told us about her new role as Senior Independent Director and our Freedom to Speak Up campaign.
Hello Jo, you've been a non-executive here at Oxleas for a few years now. How have you found your experience here and what have you learnt during that time?
Yeah, that's right, Sally. I've been a non-exec director here for 6 years. I've just been reappointed for another term. I've had a fantastic time here. I've really learnt a lot. The thing about Oxleas is it's full of amazing people and people who are patient and can explain things to you. So I've learned a lot about our services, still got lots more to learn, but I really enjoy going out and meeting services and finding out what goes on, what the issues are, and seeing if there's any way that we can work together to improve things.
So what areas have you been particularly involved in your role?
So because my background, I was in finance, I was an accountant, I chair Oxleas Business Committee, which is a committee that meets every month, looking at the finances of the organisation, looking at bids and such like. That is a great entry point into lots of things that the Trust does. So I chair that every month. I also sit on the Audit and Risk Committee. I've been sitting on the People Committee and the Health and Safety Oversight Committee. And I also sit on our Mortality Surveillance Committee, which has representatives of all the divisions and understanding how we make sure that the services we provide to people are really where they should be and see if there's any lessons learned.
So that's a really broad range of experience in the Trust. And you're visiting some of our services at the moment? You're getting out to meet some of the clinicians?
Yes, that's right. Obviously, it's been a bit difficult, so lots of those meetings recently have been on Teams, but we're beginning to go out to meet services in person now. I'm visiting adult community services this year. I've already met the TB team, which is a fantastic team, do some amazing work and incredibly enthusiastic about what they do. And I'm due to be going out across all adult community services this year, including district nursing, MSK services, for example. Prior to that, I visited children's services for 2 years, so that was really interesting as well.
And for people that don't know, what is the role of a non-exec director at a trust?
Well, a non-exec director is a board member, so sits on the board alongside the executive members and really is able to bring outside experience, challenge and support to the executives of the trust. Hopefully that external view improves decision making, informs governance, and also we are accountable to the governors of the trust as well.
And you've just taken on a new role as part of your non-exec duties. Can you tell us what that is and a bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been appointed the Senior Independent Director. That was a role previously held by Steve James, and he's now left the Trust because he did his maximum number of terms. And it's a role that is appointed by the board. It is a role that can act as a sounding board to the chair of the board, someone to talk through issues with, as a conduit for governors to raise any issues or concerns they might have with the board or with the executive, and also has some very specialised other roles as well. For example, there's a specific role in relation to medical discipline, which is not really something that I don't think I'm going to spend too much time on, but also has a role regarding freedom to speak up as well.
And talking about freedom to speak up, why is it important that if colleagues have concerns that they share those?
I think, if you go back to our trust values, we listen is one of those values, and I think that is something that at the trust level we really embrace. So we really want colleagues to feel confident they can raise concerns and talk about things they don't think are right so that we can resolve them. And we offer quite a few different ways that colleagues can do that. Obviously there's line managers, there's other people within the organisation. For example, they might want to raise issues with the Director of Nursing. But we value this freedom to speak up so much, we actually employ an outside agency, the Freedom to Speak at the Guardian Service. And they do a great job. They're contactable 24/7, completely independent from the organisation. If staff felt they needed to, they can contact the Guardian Service in anonymous capacity, and they investigate issues. They bring issues to the attention of the trust, clearly respecting that anonymity as well. But if colleagues wanted to raise something and they didn't really want to use any of those methods, they can also raise issues with me as well.
Right, so they can come direct to you.
Absolutely.
And how, what would happen when someone raises a concern? What happens then?
Well, clearly we need to understand what that concern is, and then we'll take it internally and investigate. And there could be a number of different outcomes, but the trust and the parties involved, the Guardian Service, will follow it through to make sure that issues are resolved or revealed, and then feed back to the individual raising the concerns.
And is this something that you think the board takes seriously?
Oh, phenomenally seriously. We have a 6-monthly report from the Guardian Service. It fits in with all the key initiatives that the board is involved in. Things like bullying and harassment, for example. We know that some of the concerns that are raised, unfortunately, still relate to that. So therefore, there's definitely a fit there, because it's something that the trust is really trying to improve at the moment.
So if someone was working within a team and they were concerned about something either clinical or something that was happening, what would you say to them?
Don't sit on it, raise it. Hopefully you feel like you can raise it with your line manager, but if not, there are posters around in terms of how you can contact the Guardian Service. My contact details are available on the web. Raise it and the trust will take it seriously and will follow it through.
And if people want to find out a bit more information, where could they get that?
Go to the Ox. It's the font of all knowledge in Oxleas anyway, but there's a lot of information about the Guardian Service there.
And thank you very much, Jo. Thanks for your time today. That was really helpful.
Pleasure, anytime.
Thank you, Sally and Jo. And Olive the dog, who you may have spotted making a guest appearance. That's all for this week, so until next time, goodbye.